One sees clearly only with the heart. What is essential is invisible to the eyes. Welcome to Awakening Soul Truth. I'm Robbie Short. I'm a yogi. This is Allison Ledbetter. She is a medium. We're both Reiki masters and love to teach meditation. And we are here to talk about the fourth or heart chakra.
Today it's all about love. Loving ourselves, loving the world, putting love into the world, co-creating love. We need to actively co-create love. And so we're going to talk about how we access this and why it's so important. Read your quote again because it's just remarkable.
Yes, it's one sees clearly only with the heart. What is essential is invisible to the eyes.
So this is all about intuition.
Yeah.
This is all about trusting the intuition. And one thing we've really noticed is dropping into the self. At least I've noticed it in my practice every day, practically. I'm having discussions with people that are saying, what's happening to me? I'm having these intuitive moments. I don't know what to do with them. I had this as a child. I think I'm blocking it. I don't know why it's returning. I don't want it to return. It's time to trust a new process. This is the awakening. Please trust your heart, and you can use definitive words like, I trust the wisdom of my heart. I'm listening to my divine truth. I'm opening up and trusting the source of love. When you say those things, the earth and the world around you respond. It's not like you're all of a sudden talking to the devil or the dark side. Yes, there are some religions that told you that that's what was happening. That's not what's happening. Intuition is a normal part of our evolution. Beings from other planets talk through, what do you call that?
Telepathy.
Process? Telepathy. They're telepathic. I don't have beings come to me and just like start talking in English. That's not true. Concepts come to my head immediately through telepathy. That's a hard word.
Yeah, telepathy. And you're not alone. I mean, there's a lot of mediums, a lot of psychics, a lot of channelers that say the exact same thing that you're saying. When they meet extraterrestrial beings or, the cosmic family or people from, outer space, aliens, whatever term you want to put with it, it's telepathy.
Yes, it's divine beings with a higher vibrational. You can't see them because they don't exist in three-dimensional reality. So for all you people who are like, what are you talking about? There aren't beings from other places. Yes, there are. You can't see them. And they talk to you telepathically. But our heart is also that space. Our heart has this beautiful intuition. Our heart is something that we are learning to trust, and it should be number one. And that's why actually we created this channel. We want your heart chakra to be number one.
And one of the things that I think makes people feel like, we were talking about the third chakra last week being that place of separateness. Mm-hmm. That place of separateness then can feed to the heart, which can make us feel depressed or isolated or alone or lonely. But when we really drop into the space of the heart, we realize, no, we're not alone. We're never alone. Yeah. God actually dwells within. And when you have time to drop in or use your breath to ground into your body, then you have this recognition and that soft, small, still voice. Some call it the voice of God. Some call it the voice of your higher self. Regardless, it's your intuition. It's innate wisdom that you can trust. Yeah. I love the quote, we were made by love for love to love. Mm-hmm. And we were talking about in the root chakra, our true foundation should be love. And the sacred truth for the heart chakra is love is divine power. I mean, think about that. Love is divine power.
Oh, that's going to be my new motto.
That was my class for Sunday. And then yesterday, on Valentine's Day, I kind of played off of that and talked about self-love, and self-love being an essential ingredient of this divine power of love. I love, let's just think about the Beatles for a moment. All you need is love, love, Love is all you need. I mean, it's an anthem.
It's wonderful.
Seriously an anthem. Whenever I bring this song up in class, literally everybody starts to sing it, and it just lifts the whole energy in the space.
I hope you all sing this week.
Yeah, listen to it after this show. The planet for this particular chakra is Venus, right? Because Venus represents the energy of love and harmony and union and serenity. And these are some of the qualities and attributes of the heart, along with compassion, forgiveness, devotion, gratitude.
These are all things that are a wonderful thing to journal in the morning. What are you feeling compassion towards? What are you having gratitude for? I think a lot of people think the journals of just gratitude. I like journals of how am I showing up? How am I loving? How did I receive love? One of the hardest things I think women have is receiving love. How are people loving on us? I miss it all the time. And I think to really write a journal of what does love feel like for me? What does love, how is love showing up in my world? Love does not come in the tiny package of marriage only. Love does not come in jewelry. Love is every day in every way. Love is stopping and saying hello to a stranger who looks sad or not present. Love is putting your hand on your kid's back when there's nothing else to say, but just take a breath. I love you.
I'm here with you.
I'm here with you. Love happens everywhere, and we can give love everywhere. So gratitude journals are great. If that's a practice you already have, yay. I think adding a practice of gratitude, of compassion, of joy, receiving and giving love, these are the things of the heart chakra. It's time to expand them.
The heart is capable of being more and more expanded because love is infinite. There is an infinite well of these qualities that abide within. And this is considered the seat of the soul. The soul is infinite. So it's something that we can tap into. I was watching Missing Links last night because I go through periods where I don't watch it at all, and then I try to catch up a little bit. I'm still on the first season.
This is Gregg Braden's show on Gaia TV, Missing Links.
Yeah, and he happened to be talking about the heart last night, which is why I think I was prone to, or felt compelled to start to watch it again. But he was mentioning that, women's intuition tends to be a little stronger. I don't know why, but it tends to be a little stronger with women. And he was saying a woman can actually intuitively kind of pick her mate or who she can have a long-term relationship with within 3 was it 3 seconds or 3 minutes? 3 minutes.
It was either 30 seconds or 3 minutes.
Yeah, it was 3, wasn't it?
They know literally within, let's say, maximum of 3 minutes if this person is a potential partner.
Yeah.
Isn't that incredible?
It's wild, but I believe it.
I wish I'd listened to that when I was growing up.
No doubt.
That was messy.
Yeah, me too. But he was also mentioning how, we often think the brain is like the control center. And he was like, but other groups of people, like the indigenous people, think it's the heart. And he said, really, it's both. And when both of them sync up and have this harmony with each other, we're more prone to be led by the heart, because the heart is in constant communication with the brain, and the brain is not necessarily in constant communication with the heart.
Right. So you have to actively drop into the heart. You breathe into it. That was that initial call that we made to you, that breathing into your heart, touching your heart, feeling your heart, taking 6 minutes and dropping down can change the whole direction and actually funnel the information then for the brain to be synchronized and do correct action according to intuition.
And I don't know if you remember this, because I know you do this anyway, or we both tend to do this anyway when we're teaching, is putting the hands to the heart. It feels good.
Yeah.
I didn't even have to know this information, but he shared it last night. He said, if we're doing that for just 3 minutes, and hopefully you're still doing your meditation challenge, but 3 minutes of this can sustain you for 6 hours.
Yeah.
So even if you're just doing it twice a day, that twice a day is carrying you through 12 hours, half the day, which is pretty incredible. One other thing that I wanted to mention about the missing links, and then we can move on. He was sharing how, you know, we tend to think of aging as something that, you know, just happens to us. And we all know through science that stress is the #1 killer or leader to disease.
Right.
But he had conversations and done some research on some of the oldest people, you know, that he could.
That are currently living.
Yeah. And one of those happened to be in Tibet. She was a nun, and she was over 120 years old. And he said, "What is your secret?" Because he even said that she looked really good. Her
eyes were bright.
She didn't even look that old. And she said compassion, because she follows the path of Buddhism. And the path of Buddhism is all about compassion. Well, that's an attribute of the heart. And when you continue to meditate, I may have shared this before, but there were scientific studies done on Buddhist monks years ago, I believe in India, that followed the Dalai Lama. And when they put the probes up to their brain to see, you know, kind of what was different with their brain versus someone else maybe that doesn't meditate often, they found a whole different part of their brain lit up.
Wow.
And a big portion of that goes back to compassion. So bringing that compassion up from the heart, and through all that meditation, it was literally lighting up in the brain as well. The next person that he spoke about was, I believe she was Pakistani, and she was over 120 years old as well. So he went to, I don't know if there was articles about her or if he actually met her, I'm not sure. But basically, her secret was love. She loved her family. She was a grandmother. She was probably a great-grandmother at that point. And she grew the food, and she cooked the food, and she helped the children with their homework. And that was what she loved to do. And she said it was love that sustained her life.
Love for her family.
Love for her family.
And I think so much of us were so stressed that we don't approach those moments of cooking dinner, of doing these things as, I am loving my family.
We see it as a responsibility or a chore.
A foundation. So this is another opportunity to step into loving with intention.
Yes.
My actions to take care of my family, let it create love and not tension. And younger life.
And
living a long time.
The last one I'll mention was a Chinese gentleman who, the record, I mean, he actually had all the records from his life and actual birthday notes, because I think I'm wanting to say he was a photographer or something for the Chinese military.
Yes.
And that he actually had...
Mapping. He did mapping.
Mapping, that's what it was. Thank you. And he had birthday cards from the military saying happy 100th birthday, happy 150th birthday, happy 200.
Yeah.
He lived 200 years. And when they asked him what was his secret, the secret was equanimity. Mm-hmm. Staying calm, right? Think about the opposite of being stressed out. Mindfulness, calmness, equanimity, that balance, the harmony, serenity.
Yeah. So if we can keep our hearts on compassion, if we can keep our intention on the now moment, we not only step into a place where we're rebuilding and our body is harmonizing and not just stressful levels that are taking us to a place of destruction, and that is so linked with aging. Now, I'm not all about doing this for an anti-aging. I think some people, if that's what you want to connect with, like, I need this anti-aging secret, it really is being calm, stepping into love, being present.
We may have mentioned this in the heart healing episode, but it doesn't hurt to bring it up again. Anahata is the Sanskrit term here that means unhurt, unbroken, unstruck. It has the two triangles, one pointed up, one pointed down.
Oh yeah, I love that.
Representing the energy moving upward, energy moving downward. It's the place of integration. It's the integration of the opposites. It's the marriage of the masculine and feminine. In the yogic tradition, we say this is where Shiva meets Shakti. As the energy moves down and as the energy moves up, this is the place or the altar where they marry. It's a beautiful...
That is beautiful.
Kind of thought process with that. And this is where the body meets the soul. This is where we were talking about the first three is more about physical existence, physical world that we live in. And the higher up we go is more of the spiritual plane. But this is where the physical and the spiritual meet.
Yes. And this is where you can balance your physical existence because of the guidance from your heart. I love that. It is the center of the chakras. And it is the union between so many of the forces that we think are opposing, but they're not. When they're in union, they're in balance. Opposites attract. They really do, because it's not a confrontation. It's actually a union, a coming together, one holding space for the other, night holding space for day. The soul holding space for the body, and the body holding space for the soul.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, because the wisdom comes back into the heart from the body. What am I experiencing?
Oh, wouldn't it be wonderful if everyone was embedded in their hearts and operated from their hearts?
Well, I think this is the hope.
This is the new earth. This is where we're going.
This is the birthing process. So again, we want to mention that new earth is what we're birthing into a higher vibration. She is birthing. And the astrology really showed us in February, it said we had the potential of earthquakes, and they happened. And they happened pretty severely. And there's a lot of loss of life in Turkey and Syria, and we send love to that space. But that was an upheaval that's necessary.
I was watching someone who was specifically channeling the earthquakes that just happened and wanting to know kind of why or what kind of...
So much death.
Yeah, like, why did this happen sort of thing. And what they channeled was this, while we were here last week in the third chakra, we were talking about we have to purge to emerge. And so basically this is the planet, this is the earth purging. And what they channeled was that, the earth has consciousness just like we do. And the earth absorbs things, obviously, just like we are like sponges and we absorb energy. And there is so much negative karma that the earth has absorbed. And we're going through this transition, or really a massive transformation.
Yeah.
And so the earth has to do its purging, just like you're probably experiencing some purging in your own life.
So there was this massive release of energy and tension from the earth.
And unfortunately, I'm afraid that this year is going to bring more of that. We saw it last year because this time period, if you follow astrology, that's what this is about. It's about the transition of the old earth to the new earth. So there's going to be more shocks, more surprises, more things coming out. The comet coming through. Now, that wasn't a purge and didn't have to do with the planet, but it flew over the planet, and it hasn't flown over the planet since the Ice Age. And think about what a whirlwind that was. How much change happened then.
We definitely want to talk about that. I think it's really important to say that I don't believe, and I'm hoping you can open up your minds, that when people die, they're not lost. Their existence doesn't stop. Love always continues. They just change form, and it's sad when we lose life, of course. And I also believe that we can have connection to them. And part of moving into this wiser space of heart connection is a connection to the intuitive, is to become mediums. I don't think I'm like a special person just because I can talk to the other side or have that vibrational knowledge. I'm just practicing. I'm practicing being open. So although we're losing life, They're becoming a part of a collective, a part of love. That's their wisdom can inspire us. They can hold space for us awakening. And I'm finding a lot of people who are losing loved ones, because we did have the pandemic. Lots of people have died, that they are not transitioning out into angelic form and aren't reachable. They're actually dying and carrying and holding space for loved ones on earth. They're being encouraging. They're almost like you can feel them. Some people are seeing them. Some people are smelling them. Some people are hearing them. They haven't left. The love is so intense. And they're almost our guides as we shift into this heart space awakening. They're saying it's safe. They're saying we hold space for you to come.
So when my best friend died a number of years ago, I had a couple kind of mystical experiences with her.
Yeah.
And I sat in meditation at one point, and I realized that I had the same picture across from my bed that she had across from her bed when we were roommates in college. It's The Kiss. So it's a famous painting, The Kiss. And I realized that, and I was like, oh, how appropriate that I'm sitting here to meditate in front of this picture. And I hadn't thought of that until that moment. And so I was sitting in meditation, and really in this meditation, I was just trying to get quiet and go within. I wasn't necessarily trying to connect to her. And in my left ear, I heard, "I'm sorry, I love you." When you were just saying what you were saying, it made me think of the current event that just happened at, I think it was Michigan State University. Excuse me if I've got the wrong university, but there was a gunman who came and shot several people.
Yesterday.
I read an article this morning saying the father had come out and said that his son had become very angry and very bitter after his mom died. And he was trying to help his son with the grieving process. And his son was just shutting people out, just going to work, coming home, and filling his head up with video games. That's all he was doing, was playing video games. And they were probably violent video games. And then that was probably feeding his grief, and it made him angry and bitter. And then he took it out. So we know there's been a lot of loss of life, and there's probably going to continue to be loss of life. Please don't get bitter. Like, they're still here. You can still connect to them.
Love doesn't stop, and love is always in our heart and available. We, as culturally, I feel like, have gotten to really low places of really feeding some really dark and unfortunate behavior. Specifically, I was kind of mortified by two things that happened this past year. The movie Everything Everywhere All at Once. This movie has some foul, disgusting behavior that actors can connect to and bend time by doing really perverse sexual behaviors. And it's shocking to me that they were trying to associate perverse sexual energy. Excuse me. I mean, it was so graphically disgusting to me. I literally had to walk away. But they were pairing it.
I'm not going to watch it.
No, don't watch it. They were actually pairing it with the ability of being super strong and clicking into your ability to remember strength and power. And that's really disturbing to me. They are almost tactfully saying to you, you can tap into this dark space and then you'll get your power. No, that's actually tapping into dark energy. That is not a healthy display of superpowers and intuition. And my heart is broken that movie won 7 Academy Awards or something ridiculous. And it's so disgusting.
You know,
they worship a donut.
What?
Yeah. And there's all this sexual energy. And it's like, what is happening? I don't want to see this. I don't want my children to see this. I don't want to see a reflection in my society. we need to start counteracting this cultural stuff that is really low vibration and very dark and hurtful. And we have to stop it. I'm sorry, but this is not a political thing. It's heartbreaking thing.
Yeah, I was going to say, it reminds me of, I love Star Wars. I love the whole idea of the light and the dark, trying to figure out, which one's going to rule, I guess. And the characters trying to determine, well, do I want to get my power from here or here? That's what it kind of sounds like. But in that movie, they talk about hurt and fear leads to anger, and that's what leads to the dark side.
Yep.
But remember, love is the divine power. Love is the divine power,
Absolutely.
Which is why it's kind of what the Jedis tried to portray. They didn't want to fight unless they had to fight.
Absolutely.
And they would always meditate. I love the fact that they would always meditate, and their lightsabers were full of crystals, and there were some good things in that movie.
There's some great things in the movie saying this is the way we found our power. So let's tap into that one.
Yeah.
And then the other, there was other
disturbing
behavior at the Grammys.
Yeah. I don't always watch the award show, but I heard it was on and I wanted to watch it. And my son had his girlfriend over. We, Rob was there and his daughter was there. I was like, the Grammys are on. Let's watch the Grammys. So it was actually kind of fun because we all sat around to watch the Grammys. Now, before this particular, I think it's Sam Smith. I'm just going to say it. It's Sam Smith, Unholy. I didn't even realize that was the title of the song because sometimes when I'm listening to music, I just get into the groove or get into the rhythm or
make up positive words for it.
Yeah. And I actually, when I have heard that song, I've actually dug that song. I liked that song, not knowing what any of the lyrics are because I never sing it. I just kind of dance along to it. Everybody had left the room but me and my boyfriend's daughter. And we're sitting there and I think Madonna announced it. I think she was the one announcing. So I was fixated on Madonna and then they start to perform and my jaw dropped. I was like, wait, what? This looks like a satanic ritual. What are they doing?
It was red, a lot of dark energy, worshiping sexuality.
And what's sad about it is, I already told Allison this, what's sad about it is, I mean,
it breaks my heart.
I mean, that was televised for the whole world to see.
Yep, millions of people saw that.
And luckily, I'm sitting there telling his daughter, I'm like, this is terrible. This is awful. I don't think I want to listen to this song anymore just because of how they're presenting it. But I did read an article this morning that was talking about why they were presenting it that way. And
they're trying to backtrack.
Because they're getting a lot of backlash about it. Because people are speaking up about it.
Before you tell that, I just want to say there is a direct link with mass consciousness being fed that information. Mm-hmm. And it does affect you. You saw it and imagine how many millions of people clicked into this. We are co-creators. What you think matters. And if you are unconsciously just like, oh, that was great. Oh, I just watched this. No! Be conscious of watching things.
Be conscious of what you're being entertained by.
Yeah, because that is not healthy behavior.
Yeah. Now, one thing they said in this article, just to be clear, was
so important.
One of them, it wasn't Sam Smith, she's trans. Mm-hmm. She said in the interview, she was like, as a trans person, I have not been accepted or felt included in any of the religions that I have tried to participate in. And that's really sad because if religion is supposed to be based in love and inclusivity and unity, then they should be accepted into that. And you see how that rejection turned this artist into wanting to create that as her presentation.
Yeah.
Which is really sad.
So it's time to open up the spaces that we have considered loving, which is churches or spaces that it's just include people, love them where they are. Whenever I see a trans...
Because this is also about acceptance.
It's absolutely
tolerance.
About acceptance. I think two things are really contributing to this rise in trans, whatever that is. I'm seeing a union between the male and female energies and not having to pick. And when we see angels, when we see the divine, they are not male and female. Rarely are they. They are very unisex. What happens if all these children are just being unisex and we're the ones who are freaking out about it? Stop freaking out. Just get a grip.
I watched Elizabeth April the other day, and she did a whole program based on this subject, and it was so beautifully said, and there was so much wisdom that came out of her mouth about it. And, you know, just looking at the comments, everyone was agreeing and aligning with the way she presented this information. And so if you want to go down that rabbit hole, or if you want to hear some of that, I advise you to go look at that Elizabeth April video, because she said it beautifully and so tactfully.
I think our children are just expressing what's happening.
Yeah, my son wore a pink princess dress.
Yeah.
You know, every time I picked him up from preschool.
Yeah.
Luckily, his dad and I didn't care, you know?
And if you add in the idea and the concept that we have past lives, so many times you're looking at somebody who just transitioned from being a male and now they're a woman and they're trying to figure out that energy. Sometimes it's a past life where there's anger towards one particular sex. And so they come in as the other sex, but they have to heal that.
Yeah.
So there's so many unseen reasons, divine, or for things to be created in your life that need healing, that need attention. There's no norm. We're not going back to a norm. We're going down the path of acceptance.
When I know yogis have gotten into their heart center is when I start seeing it play out. So I've seen it play out myself and other women. They get more strong and empowered through the yoga practice. They're kind of embracing a little bit more masculine energy. And the men who stick with the path and are very disciplined actually get softer and more intuitive. And so they start embracing the feminine energy. And I think that's all about being more connected to the heart. Someone asked to see a picture of my son the other day. He's had long hair most of his life. And when he was younger and had, you know, longer hair, even though I dressed him like a boy, everywhere we went, where can I sit you ladies in the restaurant? And we would just smile at each other. We never corrected them. This is a boy. We didn't care. He didn't care. But anyway, I showed my friend like this recent picture because she hasn't seen him since pre-pandemic. And she was like, oh my goodness, he's very androgynous. And I'm like, yeah, I guess he kind of is. And I guess he's kind of always been that way. And it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. I think a lot of the children are coming in androgynous. I forgot that word. It's a beautiful word. Because they really are. And the more important piece is that they're coming in filled with light. They're coming in with love. And we have the responsibility to hold space for them to be learning about love, about actualizing themselves, using different tools because they are different beings. So let's stop judging them. Let's move into acceptance. Let's do a bigger playing field.
And beauty and art, since we were talking about performances and movies, you know, sometimes they say life imitates art or art imitates life. It's both. But the heart center is also associated with beauty and art. And like you said, we're co-creators.
Co-creators.
So think about what you're creating. Are you creating things of beauty? Are you creating from a place of love? And I know sometimes we had to express other emotions, but what are we really putting out there? What are we spreading? What's the ripple effect that we're creating?
And if you are having some sadness come up, some upheavals of emotions, let them pass through. That's another tool we keep telling. Let it all pass through. Use meditation. Come back to your truth. Sit in your truth. Shall we meditate?
The last thing I want to mention was, we always do this. There's different, I guess, schools of thought on which Hindu deity goes with the heart, but I'm going with this one, and it's Hanuman. And I should have brought my Hanuman with me. He's a monkey-headed deity, but he represents devotion. So I mentioned on an earlier video, there's different types of yoga, and Bhakti yoga is the yoga of devotion. And Hanuman represents Bhakti yoga. So Bhakti is the devotion from the heart. And some of the depictions of Hanuman, his stories are fabulous, by the way, if you want to look up some of his stories. But there's a story where he opens up his chest to reveal his heart. And sitting there is Ram and Sita. And Ram and Sita represents the divine masculine and the divine feminine.
And you said they were married earlier, the marriage of them and the heart. Devotion. We have to practice loving each other.
So we're going to devote ourselves to meditation. The element is air. I don't know if we mentioned that. So breathing meditations are actually really good for the heart chakra. You want to do now? So we're actually going to use a mudra for this. One of the mudras is the mudra like this, but it's a little difficult for people. So we're just going to take the first 2 fingers and place them to the third eye, and let your thumb and ring finger hang down towards your nostrils. So just listen to my instruction, because you probably can't see what we're doing with our fingers. Close your eyes and keep the nose passages open and take a deep breath in. Slow breath out. Now close the right side with your thumb. Breathe in left. At the top of the inhale, close the left with your ring finger. Pick up your thumb. Breathe out right. Breathe in right. Close the right side, open the left, and breathe out. Breathe in left. Swap fingers, breathe out right. Breathe in right. Out left. In left. Out right. This is alternate nostril breathing. Breathing in right. Breathe out into the left. Remove the mudra from the face. Sit tall and comfortably and breathe naturally.
I am co-creating with the divine. My thoughts matter. I step into my heart to find the truth of the divine within me. I breathe into my heart, expanding, releasing judgment, accepting. I dissolve all of my judgments. I just let go. I step into compassion. I feel the love and compassion for myself and for others. I let go of judgment, and I recognize that people have pain because they're hurting. I extend compassion. I extend love. I extend acceptance. I release and heal all these rules, and I let go and trust my light body, my heart. I trust the wisdom of my heart. I am safe. I allow new possibilities, new forms of love, new ways of thinking. I allow new solutions. I am awake. And I am thriving. Love is my foundation and my purpose and my goal for this moment and the rest of my day. Thank you for your time.